Hi, and welcome to Reflections of You. I am your host, Denise Antoinette, and I'm excited today because the last topic we talked about what a man wants in a woman. And today we're going to talk about what a woman wants in a man. Now, there are so many concepts out there about what a woman is looking for. So today we are going to find exactly out about that. So I have some great guests, starting here with Miss Sincere. Sincere, welcome, and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
My name is Sincere Muhammad. I am the owner and founder of Morningstar Promotions. I am also an owner of and founder of a non-for-profit called Morningstar Miracles Foundation, where we deal with the I'll get it out in a minute because that 52-year-old mind is working right now. But we deal with children in the STEM program with technology and engineering.
Love it.
And I take young men and women who are interested in the back part of the entertainment field to learn how to do engineering for shows and the technology part of it.
I absolutely love it because that's really what a lot of our young kids need to do. It's so much talent around here, but nobody wants to get behind the scenes. So I absolutely love what you're doing. And so once again, welcome.
Thank you, beloved.
And our next guest we have, which is also my co-host, who sometimes is not able to be here, but eventually she's going to be able to be here a little more often. But she is here today, so I want you to meet my other guest, co-host, Ms. Angela.
Hello, everyone.
So, Angela, tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm not as exciting as Miss Sincere here.
Oh, I'm not that exciting.
You
I just
you
put a little
are.
in my life.
No.
This is not that
No,
exciting.
never minimize who you are.
Yes, ma'am.
I actually just I work for an insurance authorization. It's a home care, and that's basically what I do. You know.
And she's my co-host.
Yes, and I do help and assist on the podcast, which also is another
Avenue
of Reflections of You. So I do that, and actually I've actually participated in that a lot more than I have in the television part of it. So this is my first.
Welcome again. And next we have Wanda.
Hello, hi. My name is Wanda Pinckney Lofton, and I've been a resident of Buffalo for about almost 20 years now. I love the city. I love the people. I love working with the people in many capacities, sometimes as an advocate, sometimes as someone just trying to help them connect the dots. And that's what I do.
Right. She's a dot connector, that's for sure, in many different avenues and ways and genre. So it is so glad to have all of you here today. We've had a lot of insights, I know, in regards to dating from the beginning stages when we first saw that little guy walking down the street that we had a little crush on, to now even to our adult ages. And there's so much women need to learn and understand. And of course, we're not experts by no means, but we're just opening up the conversation to have a topic to talk about some of those things that we need to really have a conversation about. So the men talked a lot about what they wanted in a woman, whether it was, you know, what physical appearance or what they wanted as far as communicating and how they wanted to communicate. So today I'm opening up some questions to, you know, give us a little insight of how we feel what women are looking for in a man. And there's so many different avenues and, like I said, different aspects in our lives of what we see in a man. And it can be anything from marriage to dating. It could be anything is dealing with finances or resources or dealing with children. So we're going to talk a lot about a lot of this different stuff. So the first question I have is I want to ask the question, what do women expect to get in the get to know you phase of the relationship? So what do you expect?
Okay. What do you expect? I expect to be treated well. I expect to be wined and dined. And it doesn't have to be top shelf all the time. It could be something local. It's an idea of giving the covering. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the covering or the protection initially. Just when you're walking down the street with somebody, for them to be smart enough to know you're supposed to be on the inside, they're supposed to be on the outside. So if something happens, they're there to cover you.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I'm looking for close to immediately.
And that's so vital, because I love what you said, that covering, because that's a role that they'd say, physically, I mean, well, mentally and physically, spiritually, in the Bible, that man is supposed to be that covering for us. So that's good insight on that, Wanda.
It is. It definitely is. I actually never thought about that one as much, even though I do pay attention. If we are walking down the street, where do you place me? And that is important as well for me. But I never actually, considered that as being like, the face of the initial part of getting to know the man.
Yeah. To get to know a man, I need to have the real you. I don't want your representative. I want to know your humor. I want to know where your standards are as far as what it is that you want out of life. Where do you see yourself so many years from now? You can do that when you're young, when you get, in your
Past 40.
Oh, yeah, past 40 something. Potential is not paying the bills. So I believe it changes as you get older.
Right.
But what I'm looking for you is you. I want to know where you are right now in your life and in your mind.
Yes. And I think that's vitally important, because a lot of times men think that when we're in the get to know you phase, I guess that instincts that they say, human instincts with a man, it's time to, push that shoulder up and, show your strength and all your great things while you're showing yourself out there. And they think that sometimes that's what we expect, and it's not really what we expect. We're just really trying to get to know you. And a good part of it is, I would say, communications. Would you agree, women?
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
talk to
Definitely.
me.
Yeah.
Say what you got to say.
Yeah.
And if you have children, communicate that.
Yes.
If you have a wife, communicate
that.
If you have a girl that's getting ready to have your baby, or if you've got, if you're a deadbeat, communicate that. Because I need to know who you are before you come into my space, in my realm. And are you a bloodsucker of a spirit, or are you one that's going to add water and nurture the spirit? So communicate with me, and in that way I can actually find out who you are and where your mind is.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly
Lights out.
and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man, gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right, no employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little.
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
And communications is really one of the biggest parts of a relationship, whether it be for the man or whether it be for the women, because communication is what really bridges us together. And then the biggest thing is that they say, statistics, there's lots of books about there, like women are from Mars, and men are from Mars rather,
And women
are from Venus. That we have this big communication problem because the way we speak or we hear or we
Don't
listen
speak.
or don't speak or body language that we just miss all these interpreting points, which a lot of the men brought out. You know, like for example, the men, when I had the conversation with them, they said that women seem to nag a lot. And it wasn't really that we nag, it's just that we're trying to sometimes draw, you know, that question or that what it is, we're trying to draw it home. So we just keep trying to implement it where it sometimes can come across as nagging. So would you say like communication is like a huge factor that we're like just really missing it?
It has to be honest communication, because you can communicate and say a lot of things and don't say a lot of things, you know, because I guess in my dating, because I am single, is that, you know, I found that men will communicate, but is what are they communicating, you know? So you have to be honest, be transparent, show me who you are, exactly what you had said, sincere, you know, because I rather know who I am getting to know versus who you want me to know.
Okay. So another question I wanted to ask is, what are the signs a woman should look for in the courting process of the relationship to make her want to move on further in a relationship? Like, so what is those signs? You know, is that, okay, you got the communication down, good conversation with each other, you get understand each other, that makes you say, okay, maybe I can move forward with this. What is that for you? Because I know every woman is different, and that's why we have different women on our panel.
Yeah. They have to be able, well, I'm looking for somebody who can support themselves. Okay, and that's big. It doesn't always have to be financially, but also support yourself health-wise too. Because if I'm going to get into a relationship, I need to know it would be great to find my financial equal, whatever that is. But always, as my mother always told me, no matter how well you're doing or how well your spouse is doing, if anything happens, you still have to be able to carry the ball. What happens if your husband gets sick, which happened in my situation, where provider, best guy in the world, got sick, and I can't say, well, yeah, but no. It's about, I got to be able to pick up the ball. I have to be strong enough to carry both of us, but I should not have to carry both of us initially.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I'm looking for someone who's going to be a partner, a partnership, not a head boss and a whatever. If you're working together and you're going in the same direction, it makes it very easy to hold a little bit more in 1 week, or, you know, there's more give and take because you're all going in the same direction. If you're not going in the same direction, please let me know so I can get off.
And I think that is so important, because a lot of times, you know, when we hear that, you know, women sometimes get the title as gold digger because she wants to be financially taken care of, but it's just that you want, you know, like Wanda said, a partner. You want somebody that, you know, you're walking together in this. You know, it doesn't matter if, you know, the income level is here for the one or the other. It's just that you got to know that you're walking together, you know, and that's the key thing. So I think sometimes we as women, we get labeled wrong as gold digger. Now, I know there are some women that really do expect for a man to take care of them, but you got to understand sometimes it could be where they come from. You know, sometimes in the older world, back in, I know my grandmother's ages, my grandmother never worked. My grandfather gladly took care of her. And so you have some women that have been raised by someone with that type of standard. And you have some women who hang from the era, like my mother and my father worked. So it was a joint heir. So that's the way I see and view things. So a lot of times our understanding comes from the people that come around us. Wouldn't you say and agree?
Yeah.
But it always doesn't have to be financial. It's,
Right.
I really think it's adding value to
Right.
relationship. It's the value. If one person is, quote, the breadwinner, then the other person is bringing up the other side.
Right.
What's the value in that? Because if you had to pay somebody to be your wife, you couldn't afford it.
Oh, that's true.
You couldn't, because there's the laundry, the cooking, the kids, the this, the that. You got enough money for that? But that's what one person does. And a role reversal, if the female is making the money and she really can't expect, well, it is expected that she still do everything, and that's not supposed to happen either.
Right.
Right.
If you're in a relationship and both of you are sharing, And it may not always be about the money, but you're bringing value. Like to have things fixed around the house. Oh my God, how expensive to find a plumber, an electrician, a roofer. It goes the other way around. You have to bring something to the table. Something that's of value that can be shared and profited on for both of you.
Right. So value is another good thing. What is another good key factor of should I continue on with that relationship?
I would say that they're committed, committed to the point where I matter to you as well as you matter to me. That can't be lopsided either, and that where we're going and what we're doing and where we're deciding to go, that we both want to take that same commitment with one another. As Wanda say, it's your life partner. It's more than just a marriage. It's saying that you matter to me and I matter to you. No matter what. And that's no matter what. Like she said,
Yes,
you can
but
lose
no
your
matter
job.
what, with the commitment,
Right.
what order are you? Because you can be in the commitment of 4 or 5 people. What number are you in that 4?
Right. So commitment
That's
is key.
yeah.
Yeah. You
What
gotta-
level?
Yeah.
You've got mother, you've got father, you've got children, you've got you. Where are you?
Right.
Okay, are you number 1, number 2? Okay, so again, what value? Are you taking care of your parents where they are number 1? Okay, and then I'm there helping you because that's making our lives easier? Or are we taking care of your kids and they need you for that? So, you step back a minute so you can do you, no problem. But again, what's my number? If I'm not number 1 and number 2, I don't need to be in there.
That's true.
And that's an interesting way to look at it because I've never looked at it that way.
I haven't looked at it either that way.
The different levels, because it is too. Some men, their mother may be more important, or even with us as women. Let's, use us for example. Sometimes our children are number 1. You get married and it's
That's
you
true.
and boo, But then afterwards, you got to move away from that because now children involved, and now he thinks that you're not paying attention to him because the children are here. But it really is the level of where you're trying to, carry yourself in this relationship. You might get to a point your parents are getting older. Mom can't take care of herself. Dad's gone. So now you got to jump in, and you got to jump in and kind of handle that. But a lot of times, what really happens is we get put in the back burner in all those different levels. The woman herself. And I think that does do a little bit of wearing on a relationship that sometimes men may not seem to take in consideration or understanding too.
And some women don't either. I
Right.
mean, we can't just say it's men.
Yeah, because men
Because you
experience it
got
too.
you got some men that you marry and they mama boys. So at the end of the day,
Right.
they can make mama more important or seem more important than you are.
Right.
So I mean, I feel it does work both ways.
Yeah.
And also, like, you can find your level of commitment when you start talking. And this was an issue for me in a relationship, is that you have too much communication with your exes.
Yeah.
If you all don't have children together to have a conversation about children, then, and I understand sometimes your exes can be like old friends that you grew up with or something like that.
Right.
But to have consistent communication or any type of communication with them when you are going into a relationship or even after you're married, because your wife or your spouse is supposed to be your best friend. And you can see your ex, but you can see your ex if they're married, and then you all can go out and have dinner together. But to say, hey, you want to meet up for lunch, and it's just you and that other person, then if that becomes a consistent thing while you're in the courting process, like later on heading towards that marriage part of it, then that means that there is not a readiness for that serious commitment, because those people can be interferences later on in a marriage.
Right. And that's
Distraction. It's a permanent distraction.
It's a yes,
right.
definitely.
And I love the way you said that, a permanent distraction, because it's a lot of times men don't see that. They just so busy thinking about, okay, I got to take care of my children, but at the same time, this is my baby's mother, and I got to, keep her, pacified too as well, or else she'll take away my children, or cut my children off. And I think sometimes men have a little bit of a dilemma kind of pulling that away from that. Just like we have a time pulling away from that too, because we can also become overprotective over our children. So a new man's coming in our lives, and all of a sudden he has to deal with our baby mama drama, you know, because we don't touch him, you ain't his daddy kind of stuff too.
Right.
So it really is, when you're getting in that courting stage of relationship, it really is trying to find that even balance, you know, what we're willing to work with or work on in that relationship.
But before you bring children into the mix, you need to be sure of what you're doing.
So true.
Don't get your toe wet and bring everybody to the party and say, I don't like this anymore. It's too late. The child could become attached, and then you're taking something else away.
Right.
So we have a lot of
everything. Yeah.
Take responsibility for your actions.
That's
right.
true.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, I am in the dating stage, and for me, I don't let anybody meet my children or grandchildren until I'm sure of where I am with them.
That's right.
Because, I mean, you know, I don't need my grandchildren calling them, you know, Mr. Bob and his name is Mr. So-and-so, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, wait a minute, you know, not that, because I mean, because sometimes you move into relationships or you begin these relationships and you haven't disclosed everything about you and your entire past. I mean, yes, you bring as much as you feel that you need to bring to the table, but it's not about, well, I dated him and I dated him and I dated him, or I dated her and I dated her. But then here your kids come and they done met everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Confused.
So that's one thing I do believe is that, you know, while you are in that courting stage, you have to be for sure where you are, where you think you want to be, or where are we going before you start bringing the family into it.
Right.
You know?
So timing, commitment, all of that will really make a great big difference in that dating stage and phase when we're dealing with children, whether it be on his end or our end, is really more so. We got to discover where we are first before we can bring other people in the picture, you know, because we never know where it can land up, and that also has an effect on children too. So now we see women who may have had experienced problems with that, with a woman that continuously dates different men, and now she doesn't really know what the value of a really true man is because she's seen so many from her mother. And that's really how we essentially learn, is from the people that are close to us, mainly our home. So that's why it's so important to try to raise a home that has a foundation, you know, and we as women can be very responsible in making sure that that is definitely, you know, a foundation that we'll play, you know.
Right.
I agree.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
So let's talk about, so we've talked a little bit about the courtship part of it. So what is, you say, signs of husband material? So now we went from the dating phase, developed a little bit of a foundation of what we might think is good, commitment, and all that. So what makes him husband material? Sometimes men could be good for dating, but I have to say that husband material is completely different.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people don't hear what we're saying when we say a man is husband material. And I think sometimes we don't marry husband material, we marry date material.
Right.
So what's husband material? How would you describe that?
I don't even know. The reason why I say that is because I was married. Unfortunately, I'm a widow now, and I guess for me, I have to be pursued. Okay, I have to be wanted to the point for you to see, because as we said earlier, no glasses, that means I want to be seen, not that I want you to, okay? I don't want to see you. I want you to see me.
Right.
And since I can't see you, you need to make yourself known to me, because I don't know. I went to an event last month, and I got in the car with my girl and said, oh, you're going to be blah. I got there, and I do me, just sat there, do what I do, okay? At the end of the night, she said, I said, well, what happened? She said, you act like you married. What does that mean?
I know. How do you act like you married?
They were flirting with you and I didn't see them because they didn't make themselves known.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
They didn't make themselves known. And I've been lucky enough to have been married to a marvelous man who, yes, I do want to get married again because that was such a very positive experience for me that I would do it again should the right person come up. Because
So what made him so great, Wanda?
Oh my God. Okay.
Please share.
Yes. For me, he was tall. He treated me like royalty. And in the beginning, I was much thinner, which means that I did not touch the ground, literally. I was going to be carried everywhere, literally. Okay? Took care of things to the point of when he passed, I didn't know. I said, that's not my area. That's not my area. I didn't have to do that. I had to put everything on autopilot because he took care of things. What makes him great husband material, I didn't have any worries. Okay? When we got married, I asked him, do I have to work? And he said, my mother worked, my sister works. I said, well, what about me? He said, yes. I said, okay, so let me find something I want to do. I found something I wanted to do, and in the course of that, I missed his first dinner party because I was out doing what I wanted to do. I found a job that I wanted to do, and it was in the insurance field. I loved it. I was a traveling salesperson, and he was a correction officer. So his 2 days off, wherever I was, he came to me. So we were constantly in the love phase. It was phenomenal.
I love that.
Great. I mean,
Love it, yeah.
just I was a workaholic, and he had worked the 3 to 11 shift, and I would get home late. And how did he know? He touched the hood of the car. She just got in, okay, which means that I need to get home earlier, you know. But I didn't have to worry about anything because he was there. Everybody thought he was white because I did everything I wanted to do, went everywhere I wanted to go. No, it was a nice brown chocolate man who I love. Man, like I called him a baby Rosie Greer because he was just a big guy. When he got sick, because of the time that we put in together, that, made me, as I said, step up my game. It's all right. I mean, he took care of everything, and as he was going through his challenges, I was there to make sure that everything was everything.